What is Zionism? The history, myths, and impact from Herzl to today's Iran-Israel conflict. When you hear the word Zionism, what comes to mind? For some, it's the dream of a homeland. For others, it's a source of conflict. But what is Zionism, really? And why has this idea, born in 19th century Europe, become one of the most polarizing and impactful political ideologies of our time, especially now, as Iran and Israel teeter on the edge of war? Let's break it all down. Zionism emerged in the late 19th century as a response to a harsh reality. Jews in Europe, even after centuries of integration, still faced violent anti-Semitism, legal discrimination, and social exclusion. The defining moment came in 1894 with the Dreyfus affair in France, a Jewish military officer falsely accused of treason. For Theodor Herzl, a secular Jewish journalist covering the trial, it was a wake-up call. If France, the birthplace of modern democracy, can do this, the Jews will never be safe. Theodor Herzl wrote Der Judestaat, the Jewish state, in 1896, calling for a modern political solution. A Jewish homeland, preferably in Palestine, then under Ottoman rule. Zionism wasn't a religious idea. It was political, part of the era's nationalist wave sweeping through Europe. Just as Italians and Germans sought unified states, Herzl wanted Jews to be a nation among nations. In 1897, Herzl organized the first Zionist Congress in Basel, Switzerland. The goal: establish a legally recognized homeland for the Jewish people in Palestine. From the 1880 onward, waves of Jewish migrants, called Aliyot, began settling in Palestine. They were often secular socialists who built agricultural communes called kibbutzim. The local Arab population, mostly Muslim and Christian Palestinians, lived under Ottoman and later British rule. The next major turning point came in 1917, when British Foreign Secretary Arthur Balfour issued the Balfour Declaration, expressing support for a national home for the Jewish people in Palestine. But here's the twist: Britain had already promised the same land to Arabs in the Hussein McMahon Correspondence during World War I, and to the French under the Sykes-Picot Agreement. This laid the foundation for a century of conflicting promises and growing tensions. The horrors of the Holocaust gave Zionism a moral urgency. 6 million Jews had been exterminated in Nazi Europe. Survivors had nowhere to go. In 1947, the newly formed United Nations proposed a partition plan to divide Palestine into two states, one Jewish, one Arab, with Jerusalem as an international city. Jewish leaders accepted the plan. Arab leaders rejected it, arguing it violated the rights of the Arab majority in Palestine. On May 14, 1948, David Ben-Gurion declared the State of Israel. The next day, armies from Egypt, Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, and Iraq invaded. Israel survived the war, but over 700,000 Palestinians were displaced, an event known as the Nagba, or catastrophe. This moment is foundational to understanding why Zionism remains so controversial. For Jews, it was the fulfillment of a 2,000-year-old dream. For Palestinians, it was the beginning of dispossession and exile. It's important to note that Zionism was never a single ideology. Secular Zionists like Ben-Gurion focused on building a modern, democratic state. Religious Zionists saw the creation of Israel as fulfilling divine prophecy. Revisionist Zionists, led by Zeev Jabotinsky, advocated for a greater Israel, including both sides of the Jordan River. Labor Zionists built socialist collectives, while today's right-wing Zionists emphasize military strength and religious identity. And then there are anti-Zionist Jews, including ultra-Orthodox groups like Nechai Karta, who believe a Jewish state should not exist until the coming of the Messiah. Zionism has evolved, splintered, and shifted, and its interpretations vary wildly even within Israel. Fast forward to today. Zionism remains central to Israel's national identity. The Israeli Basic Laws describe it as the nation-state of the Jewish people. Critics argue that this has marginalized Arab citizens of Israel and made a two-state solution nearly impossible. But nowhere is the opposition to Zionism more intense than in Iran. Since the 1979 Islamic Revolution, the Iranian regime has made anti-Zionism a core part of its ideology. Ayatollah Khomeini called Israel a cancerous tumor. Iran doesn't just oppose Israeli policies, it opposes Israel's very existence as a Zionist state. The Iranian Revolutionary Guard backs groups like Hezbollah in Lebanon and Hamas in Gaza, both of which refuse to recognize Israel. And this brings us to the present crisis. On June 13, 2025, Israel launched Operation Rising Lion, targeting Iranian nuclear facilities. Iran vowed retaliation. This is not just a clash over security or territory. It's a clash of ideologies. Zionism, which says Jews are a nation entitled to sovereignty in their ancient homeland. And Islamic anti-Zionism, which sees that same claim as illegitimate and unjust. There's a lot of noise around Zionism, and it's often weaponized in political debates. So let's separate some myths from facts. Zionism is not Judaism. Judaism is a religion. Zionism is a political movement. Not all Jews are Zionists. Not all Zionists are Jews. Zionism is not racism, but like any nationalist movement, it has been accused of enabling ethnocentric policies, especially regarding Palestinians. Anti-Zionism is not automatically anti-Semitism, but it can sometimes cross the line, especially when it denies Jewish history or demonizes Jews as a whole. Zionism also has a global footprint. It influences US foreign policy, shapes UN debates, fuels student activism, and is a lightning rod in Muslim-majority countries, especially Iran, Pakistan, and parts of the Arab world. Zionism is more than a historical movement. It's a living, breathing force that shapes our headlines, alliances, and even wars. Whether you see it as a liberation movement or a colonial project, the fact is, Zionism changed the map of the world. It gave birth to Israel. It displaced Palestinians. It triggered wars, inspired resistance, and became the symbol of both hope and injustice, depending on where you stand. And as Iran and Israel edge toward open conflict, Zionism isn't just a theory in history books. It's at the center of today's most dangerous geopolitical fault line. To understand the Middle East, you have to understand Zionism, not just as a slogan or a label, but as a story. A story of identity, survival, power, and pain. Let us know what you think in the comments. Is Zionism still relevant today? Has it fulfilled its mission, or has it strayed from its ideals? Like, subscribe, and stay tuned, because next time, we'll dive into the roots of anti-Zionism and how it shaped Iran's foreign policy from 1979 to now.